السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه وبعد. This is a continuation of the lecture we started last week. The lecture topic is about the ayah, the central ayah that we have been explaining in the Quran in Surah Al-A'raf that talks about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as the unlettered prophet that is mentioned there in the Torah and the Injil, and I tried to trace where in the Torah and the Injil are some references that are still left about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So last time we explained the major reference made in the Torah in the book of Deuteronomy in verse number 18, chapter 18, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells Musa alayhi salam, I will raise for them a prophet like you from among their brethren, and I will put my words in his mouth, and he will speak in my name, and he will tell them all truth and things that are yet to come. We use this as a launching pad for the other information that we get in both the Old Testament and the New Testament. We also mentioned last time that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who is one of the descendants of Prophet Ismail and Prophet Ibrahim, and Prophet Ibrahim comes from the Semite side of the children of Noah. Noah had 3 children, Sam, Ham, and Japheth, and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam comes from Prophet Ibrahim, who comes from the Semite side of the Noah children. So here in this section, we're trying to answer this question. As prophets, who is more like unto Moses, Jesus or Muhammad? Because the verse we referenced from the book of Deuteronomy, where Allah tells Moses about the coming of the next prophet, he tells him, part of the description of that prophet is that he will be like unto you, similar to you. Christians say that is a reference about Jesus. Muslims and Muslim scholars have understood that this is a reference about Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So I decided to look into this diagram.
Can I ask now or after Moses?
You can ask now because you were not there last time.
So, how do Christians reference that ayah as Jesus if it says prophet? Because the word is prophet, right?
Yeah, because
and they believe it's son of God or God. So how they don't believe Jesus is a prophet?
Well, you know that unfortunately they want to have it both ways. They want to have all the prophecies of the Old Testament refer to Jesus and none but Jesus, but they want to still believe in him as not really a man, but a God who came in the form of a man. So they cannot deny because he referred to himself as a prophet in the Bible, right? And they called him teacher, rabbi. That's a human title. It's not a title for God. So they cannot deny it, but the question you're raising assumes rational composition of their faith. It's not. And they don't think that it is rational. They say it's a mystery. So they don't have a problem claiming him in all the prophecies, but when those prophecies call him nothing but a prophet, right? And here it is like you, like Moses, which means a human prophet. No, they don't have a problem. Because they say he is part human, part God. That's their belief. He is part human and part God. And they resolve this conflict by saying it's a mystery. We cannot explain it. Okay. So, looking at this chart, which I developed trying to trace who is more like Moses between Muhammad and Isa, who is more like Moses. And as you could see here, Prophet Muhammad matches everything with Moses, and Prophet Isa stands out, at least according to their faith, to be completely different. So that prophecy could not apply to Jesus. And definitely they denied Zechariah and killed him. They denied John the Baptist and killed him. They denied Elias and killed him. So who's left? Who's left? So you see here, Isa was born as a result of miraculous conception. And if you look at Moses and Muhammad, normal conception. Isa had only a mother, didn't have a father. Moses and Muhammad had two parents. Jesus was perceived to be God and Son of God by his followers. Muhammad and Moses were believed to be a man and a prophet. Jesus stayed a bachelor, he never married, and Moses and Muhammad married and begot children, so fully human in all respect. Jesus was rejected by his own people, the Jewish community from which he comes and his mother comes. They rejected him. Muhammad and Moses were both accepted for the prophets they were. The word "till all" is coming, which applies to Jesus and Moses, is a statement that came in their prophecies about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We will talk about Jesus' statement in a minute, but this one has come as a prophecy from Allah. Allah told Moses, he will tell them all truth. Jesus said to his followers about the Comforter or the Spirit of Truth, he will tell you all truth. So Muhammad said, all truth is me. The truth teller is me. The tell all is Muhammad. So that stands to be the only thing where Jesus and Moses are similar and Muhammad is different. They both projected and prophesied the coming of someone who will tell all. But Muhammad said, today I have completed your religion for you. اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي. Today I have completed your faith for you, which means there will be no more to add to this faith. Jesus brought no new law. That's his own statement. Moses and Muhammad each was given a new law. Moses was given a law that was called the law of Moses. Muhammad was given a new law, which is the final revelation, which is the Quran. Jesus says, I am not here to judge, and he refuses to judge. He never acted as one. Muhammad and Moses acted as judges. Moses was ascended to God. Jesus was ascended to God, but Moses and Muhammad were buried and still in their grave until today. So by looking at this comparison, which is a very objective comparison, it doesn't have anything to do with who's holding the comparison. These all points are proven in the text itself. I just summarized these issues that are well known and well established for the three of these prophets. So where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells Moses, I will raise from among themselves someone like you, that means he is referring to someone who is similar to Moses more than others. Because all prophets could be similar in other aspects. That they receive revelation, they guide people to the truth, that they are connected to God. All of these are similarities. But where do Moses and Muhammad stand to be exactly the same, and where Jesus stands alone to be different, is what is important in the reference made in the ayah. Now we go to the following reference that I got, which refers to the conquest of Paran. Paran or Faran is an old Jewish name for Mecca. Here, Paran, a desert of Arabia. This is the biblical dictionary for the Hebrew references made in the Bible to places and people. So here, this is the blessing wherewith Moses, the man of God, blessed the children of Israel before his death. And he said, the Lord came from Sinai and rose up from Seir unto them. He shined forth from Mount Paran, referring to the three messages and the three messengers. Moses in Mount Sinai, Jesus in Seir, and we'll talk about Seir in a minute, and Muhammad, who was raised up in Paran, which is a mount in Arabia, referring to the Prophet ﷺ. So God shines in Mount Paran and came with 10,000s of saints. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, on the conquest of Mecca, he brought with him 10,000 companions from Medina at the conquest of Mecca, because they expected the mushrikeen to resist their re-entry of Mecca. No one else ever entered the land of Paran in this fashion or in any other fashion that is marked in the Old Testament, like Prophet Muhammad ﷺ has entered Mecca with 10,000 saints. Mind you that this prophecy is in the book of Deuteronomy, just 15 verses away, 15 chapters away from where Prophet Muhammad was prophesied by Allah to Prophet Moses. So the prophecy given to Musa was chapter 18, verse 18. This prophecy is talking chapter 33, verses 1, 2, and 3. Okay? In the book of Isaiah, which is a major book of prophecies, it says the burden upon Arabia. Why is Arabia mentioned when all the Jewish history is packed into Palestine, and in Iraq when they were taken away into Babylon, and in Egypt when they went into slavery? All of this. Why does their book talk to them about Arabia? And what does it mean when it says the burden upon Arabia? Arabia, again, is defined here as a country east of Palestine. It is also called the Arab, from the root word Arab, the sense of sterility, which means an arid desert, an empty land. So Arabia is what we know as Arabia, the Arabian Peninsula. And then we'll get the map in a minute. In the forest in Arabia shall you lodge. In the forest in Arabia you shall lodge. You will settle there. This will be the land that will receive the final responsibility towards Allah, and that's why it's calling the burden on Arabia. The responsibility towards humanity will be delivered on the shoulder of Arabia and the Arabs. This is the message of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Shall you lodge, O you traveling companies of Didanim? What is Didanim? Didanim, the name of two Kushites, and their territory is called Didan. Kushites, as you could see, the Arabic and Hebrew language have very few differences, either dots on a letter or just the way it pronounces. Like the word nafs in Arabic is called nafsh in Hebrew. The letter ha in Arabic is pronounced in Hebrew as kha. We say Menachem Begin. His name in Hebrew is Menachem. So this is very slight difference. So if you read the word Kushites and you read the Arabic word for the tribe of the Prophet, what is it called? The Qurashites. It is called Quraysh. Okay? So the name of two Kushites and of their territory, the territory is called Didan or Didan. Didan also is it is uncertain derivative of the word Didan, which is the name of two Kushites, which means two groups, and it settles in the territory that is called Didan, which is part of Arabia as it is shown here. Kushan is the individual Kushite, is called Kushan, or the founder is called Kushan, perhaps from the Jewish reference in the Hebrew dictionary, Kushan, a region of Arabia. Again, it has nothing to do with Palestine, it has nothing to do with Egypt, it has nothing to do with the Jewish history. It is all about a new history that is going to be written and is going to happen. The inhabitants of the field of the land of Tima. Tima or Taimo is the name of Medina. Tima is one of the Hebrew names of Medina, and Medina was known for the Jewish people for hundreds of years, because based on their reference, and this is the reference, they expected the next prophet to come out in Medina. That's why they settled several tribes in Medina before even the birth of the Prophet ﷺ, with the hope that the next prophet will come from my tribe or your tribe or her tribe, so on and so forth. So about 5 to 7 Jewish tribes settled in Medina, knowing from this text that I'm reading for you here that this is where the next prophet is coming, and because they knew, according to their own references, that they will have to be in Medina for the next prophet to come potentially from within their tribes. They never expected the next prophet to come from a different tribe, from a different group altogether. But we'll tell you further in the lecture that this was not founded in their text, but they hoped that since they know the place of the prophet, they wanted to be where he is coming. Yes?
So the Jews of today, if you talk to Jews today, do they, like we have that preserved, we know that that happened. Do they have it preserved in their books where the Jewish tribes were settled in Medina and this happened, or did they lose that?
No, they actually, what's her name? Golda Meir, the late Prime Minister of Israel, was talking, and the talk was revived by one of their current ministers, saying that our goal is Khaybar in Medina. Khaybar was one of the community in Medina for the all Jewish people. Definitely they know. What would attract them to leave the green land of Palestine and go down there in the desert. There is no other reason. There is no attraction. There is no tourism. There is no community. It was just an arid land, yes.
But why would Golda Meir say it now? Because now that...
No, Golda Meir is dead several years
I'm
ago.
saying that
Yeah.
Golda Meir is of recent times. Our goal is kind like what did she achieve?
What they mean is, the Jewish people are about establishing history, community, and the land for themselves. Why? Because it has been an identity complex that they have been scattered all over the earth for life, for centuries, for their history. So for them, land, community, and a place of their own has always been an identity complex. So now they say, wherever a Jew has walked, wherever a Jew is buried, it's a Jewish land.
Okay.
This is the premise on which they claim that Palestine is theirs, Iraq is theirs, Egypt is theirs, the pyramids are theirs.
So are they trying to say that the Prophet is yet to come?
No, they are not saying that he is yet to come. They do not interpret all of this the way me and you and other scholars could read it. We know, and everybody knows, that all of the Old Testament and the New Testament are not taught in the synagogues and the churches. What is taught are statements by rabbis that is collected in a book called a Talmud. Okay? And the Christians do not teach the Bible as a whole, from Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Paul. No. They just pick certain passages and pieces and highlight it and weave the whole religion around it. Imagine that somebody will pick the story of the cow and pick the what the Quran mentions about the bees and what the Quran mentions about ants and say the Quran is a book of zoology. That's what it is. So they weave a religion. The way we do like them is when some Muslims pick a reference or more and weave the whole religion around it and ignore the rest of it. So you find Muslims, for example, who say Islam does not recognize violence as a whole. Never. It's a peaceful religion, and they keep citing passages about peace. And those other extremists, they say, no, Islam is about nothing but war. It's a fight between Muslims and non-Muslims. Both are wrong. Why? Because they are picking based on a choice. They are not looking for facts. They are not looking to be guided by the text. They are looking in the text for what supports their views. So if they are afraid of fights and war, they say Islam is about peace, I'm about peace. I don't worry about other Muslims. They are violent, they are extremists. I'm a moderate Muslim, right? And you find, of course, the other side where Muslims say it's a war, and those who don't want to acknowledge it, they are cowards, and this and this. So here, Isaiah 21:13, the burden upon Arabia. In the forest in Arabia, they shall lodge. O you traveling companies of Didanim, the inhabitants of the land of Tima or Tima. Tima is the English word, but the original Hebrew is written here. Is Tima is Taimo. This is how it's pronounced in the Hebrew. Probably for derivative of Tima. Tima is one of the children of Ishmael and the region settled by him. The region settled by him. Tima, which is the Medina, the current Medina as we know it, was called Taima. It was called Yathrib by the early Arabs, and it turned into Medina after the Prophet ﷺ migrated from Mecca to Medina. Okay. The land of Tima brought water to him. I want you to pay attention to this coming section. Brought water to him that was thirsty. They prevented with their bread him that fled. Who fled from anywhere to Medina other than the Prophet and his community? And the people of Tima or Medina who received them and shared their bread with them, because they knew that they were running away from the fight with Quraysh. Right? The next ayah number 15. For they fled from the swords, from the drawn sword, and from the bent bow, and from the grievousness of war. That's exactly what migration from Mecca to Medina was about. And the recipients were none but the people of Tima, according to the Jewish name of the Medina, or Taima. Here you see this map, which identifies Tima, Medina, Iodimia, and Mecca, where Kushan, and the actual Arabic name for Kushan is Kedar, the land of Kedar. And you will see the name Kedar coming in the Isaiah prophecies. Okay. The same chapter continuing. For thus has the Lord said unto me, within a year, according to the years of an hireling, and all the glory of Kedar shall fail. Kedar is definitely the tribe of the Prophet ﷺ. Kedar is actually one of the 12 children of Prophet Ishmael, from whose descendants comes Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. So if you trace the ancestries of Prophet Muhammad in a straight line to Ishmael, Kedar becomes the immediate child of Ishmael, from whose particular descendants Prophet Muhammad came. So Kedar is known as Quraysh itself. The area and the people was called Kedar. And see how many times Kedar is referenced here. And the residue of the number of archers, the mighty men of the children of Kedar, shall be diminished. They will be taken over and they will be diminished. For the Lord God of Israel has spoken it. And these are the names of the sons of Ishmael by their name. One of them is what? Kedar. So in their own book, in the book of Genesis, the early book of the Bible, the first book of the Bible, the Old Testament, it refers to the children of Ishmael, and one of them is Kedar, and that his children will be the ones fighting the Prophet and causing him to flee to Medina, and they will be diminished, they will be defeated, in other words. Why is Prophet Isaiah, or Ash'iyah in Arabic, talking about this in the book that is full of prophecies about everything that was yet to come from his time forward? You look at the chapter 42. The entire chapter of 42 is talking about the community of the Prophet, the description of the community of the Prophet, what they will be doing, description of the Prophet ﷺ himself, that has been documented both in Arab references, Islamic references, and Western references. Who he was, what did he do. So you read it in Isaiah's references here. Here is my servant, whom I uphold, my chosen, in whom my soul delights. By the way, again, these prophecies about the Prophet ﷺ are claimed by the Christians to be referring to Isa alayhi salam again. The only way to obscure or eliminate the presence of any reference about Muhammad ﷺ is one of two things. Either you remove the reference completely, or you interpret it to mean Isa. This is the Christian approach. Okay? At least that's my observation. So here, the prophecy says, here is my servant, whom I uphold, my chosen, in whom my soul delights. I have put my spirit upon him. He will bring forth justice to the nations. Did Jesus bring justice to himself? Let alone to any nation, let alone to all the nations. Definitely this could not be about Isa. But let us further read. He will not cry or lift up his voice or make it heard in the street. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was known to be very soft spoken. He is not loud in the market. He is very kind to things and people and animals, not only to people. So you read and continue to read the prescription here. A bruised reed he will not break. He will not break a tree branch. Even if it is broken already, he would not snatch it and remove it. And a dimly burning wick he will not quench. Even the residual of a fire that was burning, he would not quench. He would leave it to burn itself out. He will faithfully bring forth justice. Look at the word justice, how many times it will come in this passage. He will not grow faint or be crushed. He is not going to be weakened or give up or succumb or surrender to anyone. Right? And he will not faint or be crushed. He will never be defeated. He will never be crushed, which means nobody ever will kill him or finish him off. And that didn't happen. It happened to whom? So this is the opposite of what they claim. This is not only different, this is the opposite of their claim. Until he has established justice in the earth. How many times we have justice now? Right? 1, 2, 3 in 3 verses. Right? That's not Jesus at all. That's not Jesus. And the coastlands wait for his teaching. The coastland wait for his teachings. What is the closest coast to Muhammad? It was Al-Bahr Al-Ahmar, right? The Red Sea, where people used to travel from Mecca to Abyssinia and back to Mecca and north even to Medina if they take the sea. Okay. Thus says God, the Lord, who created the heavens and stretched them out, who spread out the earth and what comes from it, who gives breath to the people upon it and spirit to those who walk in it. That's about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I am the Lord. I have called you in righteousness. Do you know what it means? I have called you in the hope that your righteousness will come out. I have called you in righteousness. I treated you nicely. I treated you nicely. I have taken you by the hand and kept you, talking to the children of Israel, right? I have given you as a covenant to the people, a light to the nations. Who took the covenant? It's Isaac and his descendants. It's Ibrahim and Isaac and his descendants. So Allah, as we mentioned last time, took a covenant from Isaac and his descendants. But he didn't take a covenant from Ishmael. Ishmael was blessed. We mentioned last time that blessing is a free gift from Allah. But a covenant is a two-way agreement. For me to be your Lord, you have to meet my covenant. You have to fulfill your covenant to me. I have called you in righteousness. I have taken you by the hand and kept you. I have given you as a covenant to the people, a light to the nations, to open the eyes that are blind, to bring out the prisoners from the dungeon, from the prison, those who sit in darkness. Isaiah 42:8. I am the Lord, that is my name. My glory I give to no other, nor my praise to idols. Who fought idol worshipping other than Muhammad? Continue. See, the former things have come to pass. Look at this ayah. The former things have come to pass. The prophecies that you've ever heard are coming to pass. Right? They will be fulfilled. And new things I now declare before they spring forth. I tell you of them. Now Allah is going to talk about what are those things that He is promising will be fulfilled. Sing to the Lord a new song. There is a new revelation coming. There is a new revelation coming. There is a new message. There is a new prophet. There is a new community coming as a fulfillment. His praise from the end of the earth. Who is singing the praise of Allah from the end of the earth to the end of the earth? Other than the community of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Let the sea roar and all that fills it, the coastlands and their inhabitants. Let the desert and its towns lift up their voice, the villages that Kedar inhabits. You see, Kedar is still coming up. Kedar, the son of Ishmael, and the great-grandfather of the tribe of the Prophet ﷺ. Let the inhabitants of Sila sing the joy, let them shout from the tops of the mountain. Who climbs the Mount Arafat, right? And shouts the praise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on their way up, on their way down, all throughout the rituals of Hajj. Sila is Iodemia. We showed you Iodemia, which is a rock place, and this is its definition in the Hebrew dictionary. So the word Sila, and here is the pronunciation, the same as H5553, which is a Hebrew reference in the dictionary as well. Sila, the rock city of Iodemia, rock, Sila. This is the reference. Iodemia, again, is a region east and south of Palestine. What is east and south of Palestine but Saudi Arabia? That's the Arabian Peninsula. Have you ever heard a history of the Jewish people going to Arafat or praising Allah, chanting in the mountains or anywhere else? Okay. Let them give glory to the Lord and declare His praise in the coastlands. Continue. The Lord goes forth like a soldier, like a warrior. He stirs up His fury. He cries out. He shouts aloud. He shows Himself mighty against His foes. This is a description of the support that Allah has given to the new fledgling Muslim community that was very small but very resilient in the face of the enemies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Who gave them the support? Allah saying that He did. For a long time, this is Allah talking, for a long time I have held my peace. I have kept still and restrained myself. Now I will cry out like a woman in labor. I will gasp and pant. I will lay waste mountains and hills and dry up all their herbage. I will turn the rivers into islands and dry up the pools. I will lead the blind by a road they do not know, by paths they have not known. I will guide them. I will guide them. Let me see here. I will turn the darkness before them into light, the rough places into level ground. These are the things I will do, and I will not forsake them. What do you think Allah's talking about here? That He is coming with fury against His enemies, that He will waste the land that His enemies are taking. He will diminish them, He will destroy them, and He is not going to exercise patience with them anymore. They shall be turned back and utterly put to shame, those who trust in carved images Who fought carved images other than Muhammad and the Muslim community? Who say to cast images, you are our gods. What an amazing statement. Whom would it apply if it not to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his community? Listen, you that are deaf and you that are blind, look up and see. Who's blind but my servant, or deaf like my messenger, whom I sent? Messenger and sent. Read this. Who is blind like my dedicated one, or blind like the servant of the Lord? He sees many things, but does not observe them. His ears are open, but he doesn't hear. Talking about his enemies, who would hear the word of Allah and would resist it and pretend that they cannot hear. ما نفقه كثيرا مما تقول. We don't understand much of what you say, Muhammad, they were saying. The Lord was pleased for the sake of his righteousness to magnify his teaching and make it glorious. Yes. But this is a people robbed and plundered. All of them are trapped in holes and hidden in prisons. They have become a prey with no one to rescue, a spoil with no one to say, restore. People were lost in Arabia for centuries after Ibrahim and Ishmael. They were lost. They got no prophet. They got no guidance. They got no revelation. And Allah is saying,
please come up to the back office.
it's about time that they get out of their prison. They get out of darkness. They get out of blindness. Who among you will give heed to this? Who will attend and listen for the time to come? Who gave up Jacob to the spoiler and Israel to the robbers? Was it not the Lord against whom we have sinned, in whose ways they would not walk, and whose law they would not obey? So he poured upon him, the heat of his anger, and the fury of war. It set him on fire. It set him on fire all around, but he did not understand. It burned him, but he did not take it to heart. Talking about the punishment that will happen to those who ignore or deny Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This one coming prophecy is your most amazing prophecy, short of the next one. But this is very, very amazing. Who studied English well here?
No, my dad's in the car.
Okay, I will read it, but anyone could help also, okay? Help me understand what this is saying. And the vision of all is become unto you as the words of a book that is sealed, which men deliver to one that is learned, saying, read this, I pray thee. And he saith, I cannot, for it is sealed. So I tried to trace this in the Hebrew language, especially the key words, because this is not a proper English. If you read it again, it's not proper English. It doesn't make a sentence anywhere. And the vision of all is become. What does it mean? So I had to dig some words to see what the Hebrew reference really was. Unto you, it's not connected either. As the words of a book that is sealed, you don't know what it's talking about. Which men deliver to one that is learned, right? Saying, read this, I pray thee. And he saith, I cannot, for it is sealed. Yes, it is Iqra. Finally, we can figure it out. But does this make any sense? No, it does not, until you read the Hebrew, and it will help you connect the dots. So what in the main words here will clear this for us? The word vision is creating a problem. The word is become is creating a problem. The word sealed also. So I tracked those words in the Hebrew origin to see what it says in English. So you find the word vision could mean, in Hebrew it means shazoth or kados, and a look, hence figuratively striking appearance, revelation, or by implication impact or agreement, or notable one. So the word vision is most likely the word revelation. If you leave the word vision and put the word revelation, it can read, and the revelation of all is become. Let me go to the Hebrew and see what the word become is. The word become in 1961 reference dictionary, hoyo, a primary root in composition, meaning to exist, right? Or become, or come to pass. Come to pass. When you combine the word revelation in place of vision and become into come to pass, or will pass, or will be accomplished, you see that the text here is saying, and the prophecy, not the vision, the prophecy of all, which means all prophets, is come to pass, right? Unto you, right? The words of a book that is sealed. Sealed means to seal, which is to close. It is not clear, it is not seen, it is not visible, it is not legible. This is what seal here would mean. And seal also means to end, right? So the book, the seal book, which is the seal book, right, that was given as a revelation to the seal prophet, is the fulfillment of the prophecies of all prophets. Am I taking the text far away from where it is going? Could we understand it without going to the Hebrew? I couldn't understand it without going to the Hebrew dictionary. You see those now? This was 29:11, Isaiah 29:11. This now is Isaiah 29:12. The next verse will match the Quran. In the Quran, those who follow the apostle, the unlettered prophet, whom they find mentioned in their own scripture, in the Torah and the Gospel. Right? Here is what Isaiah is saying. And the book is delivered to him that is not learned. Right? The previous one, it says, one who is learned. Right? Here. Right? The book is given to one who is learned, and it says, I do not know, I cannot read it. Right? I pray thee. And he says, I cannot, for it is sealed. Allah gave them the Torah, and they said, Musa, we don't understand what you're saying. Go ask your Lord about this. Go tell your Lord this. Please, go back to your Lord. Which means what? We don't understand. That's what it's saying. They are learned, they know it, right? And they know what Musa is talking about, but they pretend that they don't know. Here it says, and the book is given to one who is not learned. Who is not learned? Who received a book that Allah told him to read, other than Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Saying, read this, I pray thee, and he says, I am not learned. Ma ana biqari'. Look at the word, ma ana biqari'. I am not a reader. So this is the first verse that came to the Prophet ﷺ in the revelation. Read in the name of your Lord, and chariter who created man out of a alaq, a cling. Read, and thy Lord is most bountiful. He who taught by the pen. So, Archangel Jibreel alayhi salam to Prophet Muhammad, read, he said, I'm not a reader. Read, I'm not a reader. And then, read in the name of your Lord was the beginning of the revelation. And this hadith is cited in Bukhari. So, this is in the book of Isaiah. Next time I will give you the prophecy of prophecies, inshallah. We stood at the 41 slide, and we have 96 slides to go. Please bring your children. I want them to know the truth and to be able to use it. Please bring your children. Please. Thank you.